Welcome back to NANODOSing. It's a nanodose of a macrodose, and it's brought to you by Shady Rays. Do not break the bank this holiday season. Shady Rays is an independent glasses company that gives you the features of $200 shades for a fraction of the price, and a fraction of that price during their biggest Black Friday sale ever. Shady Rays are premium polarized shades featuring world-class optical clarity, substantial durability, and styles catered to everyone and every lifestyle. The best part about Shady Rays is their insane protection program featuring lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your shades on day one, they told us that they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Drop in the lake or off a cliff, anything. They will replace them. And if you're looking to gift Shady Rays for the holidays, the lost and broken coverage transfers to anyone that you gift them to. They'll get great polarized shades and protection no matter what happens to them in the future. Shady Rays are the best holiday gift that you've never thought of giving. Act now for their best Black Friday selection, up to 60% off site-wide. Redeem only at shadyrays.com, where you can find all their new and best shades. That's at shadyrays.com. Check them out right now. Up to 60% off site-wide. Incredible sale. All right, welcome back to NANODOSing. It's a nanodose. It is a very special one because we have a guest coming up in just a second. Jon Weinbach. He is working with Meadowlark Media, and he did a documentary about the USA-Mexico sports rivalry when it comes to U.S. and Mexican men's soccer. One of my favorite topics. It's a great documentary. Check it out. It's on Prime Video Sports now.
Oh my God, guys. I got recognized at the bar on Blackout Wednesday, and it was the bartender, and he gave me my drinks for free.
Blackout Wednesday.
Mm-hmm. And he gave me my drinks for free. It was so cool. I felt very excited.
I'm very happy for you.
Thanks. He was like, he goes, "Am I the only Mad Dog simp here?" And I was like, "Huh?"
Are we calling it Blackout Wednesday? Is that the name for it now?
That's what I call it.
That's what it's always been.
What'd you call it? Thanksgiving Eve?
Yeah, it's Thanksgiving Eve. It's the biggest bar night. I've always thought that the Friday after Thanksgiving is a better bar night because you go out on that Wednesday and then you're super hungover for Thanksgiving.
I went out on that Friday night. I went out on that Friday night too, and it was a lot of people. I saw Brianna Chicken Fried's ex-boyfriend.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was with my parents too.
Are we cool with that guy or no?
No.
Okay. Did you say anything to him?
Did she break up with him?
Yeah, but then he was like mean to her. I'm all for women supporting women here. Yeah, no, he's from my hometown.
Well, fuck him.
Fuck him, yeah.
That guy sucks. I hope they put poison in his drink. Let's just keep all this part in.
Yeah.
Welcome back to NANODOSing. It is now Tuesday. It's Tuesday, isn't it? It is November 29th. And I'm back from Qatar. I made it back alive. I always knew that I would. It was never up in doubt. Thank you for the round of applause, Billy. Donnie is still overseas in Qatar. So I'm not going to say... Here's what I'll say about Qatar. Because under the understanding that Donnie is still there and still under the watchful eye of the Qatari people, it's a beautiful place with just fantastic government and really clean everything. And have they done a wonderful job bringing the World Cup to the Middle East for the first time ever. And with style and class and elegance and a forward-thinking vision that only the Emir of Qatar could pull off. So shout out the Emir. This episode of Macrodosing is brought to you by the Emir. He has a 99.9% approval rating in Qatar right now, which is, some people are saying it's a little bit low. But we're confident that by Christmas time, after the World Cup is over, it'll get right back up there. I think maybe one or two of the people that are complaining about everything, they might be like Argentinian fans that are pissed off about some of the offsides calls. So besides that, I think it's gone off without a hitch. And boy, do we love Qatar. Isn't that right?
If you had to give a top 2 or 3 critiques of Qatar, which you don't really have because it was such an amazing place with amazing people and leaders. But if you just had to say, a couple of things that maybe weren't what you expected, what would those be?
The temperature is almost too comfortable over there. It was lovely. It's about 80 degrees, and so it felt like a little bit of summertime over there. When I watch the World Cup, I'm hoping for a little bit of heat. It is traditionally a summer event, and so I'm hoping for a little bit of heat, get the sweat going a little bit, have it feel like summer. Man, this just felt like a really comfortable living room the entire time. So I guess my biggest complaint, Big T, is that I wasn't uncomfortable enough over there.
Crazy.
Isn't Donnie on a yacht right now? Is he on a cruise ship?
He's been bouncing around a little bit. There was a cruise ship that was docked nearby downtown Doha that was filled with a bunch of English people, some Argentinians, some Brazilians, a couple Europeans, and that's a friendly place for alcohol and that sort of thing. The cruise ship is allowed to have whatever they want on it. So Donnie went on there to hang out with a friend and maybe have a couple drinks.
Oh, cool. Does that mean he's not under Qatar's jurisdiction?
No, he's still under Qatar's jurisdiction. He's parked in the bay, which is adjacent to the Persian Gulf there. And it was kind of cool, honestly, when I was flying out of Qatar, looking out around the Middle East. I've never been in the Middle East before. We got to fly over Bahrain. We flew over all of Saudi Arabia, which if you are a fan of sand, then, man, do I have the country for you. Because Saudi Arabia is like, maybe someone can fact check me on the size of Saudi Arabia, but it feels like it's about the size of Alaska, and it's nothing but sand everywhere. It might not be that big. Maybe it's like the size of Texas. If Texas was 100% just sand, that's what you're looking at with Saudi Arabia. And it's different colored sand too. In the east, it starts with white sand, and then that gradually fades into like a tan, more oranger sand as you get closer to Africa. It was cool flying over that part of the country. And then we ended up going across Egypt, and then we went up to Europe. And then I felt the plane turn when we entered European airspace. It was because we were flying around Ukraine because there's a war going on there.
Would you believe that Saudi Arabia is 830,000 square miles and Alaska is 665,000
It's 4 times the size of Texas.
Wait, so it's bigger than Alaska?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, the look I got from Billy was like, oh, maybe I'm wrong about that. Yeah, it is fucking huge, and it's nothing but sand.
But you know what's wild? Qatar is only the size of Connecticut.
Yeah, Qatar is super tiny.
And it's crazy because they're the 6th largest oil producer in the Middle East, but they're the smallest out of any of those countries. So like the luck of the draw, like when you think of oil-rich territories like Russia or like Texas historically or Alaska, like they're all large land masses. But Qatar literally got so lucky that they got on one of the largest oil reserves, and it was only in a place the size of Connecticut.
Yeah, I've been reading up a lot about Middle Eastern history and the geopolitical state of the Mideast right now, and it's fascinating how everything got divvied up there and how the different ruling families. There's like small amounts of infighting that go on all the time, even inside these countries. Like Saudi Arabia has like 5 internal struggles for power that are going on at any given time amongst like the oldest families that live there. And in Qatar, it's this one ruling family. It was founded by the emir's dad, and the emir's dad passed it on to his son, the emir, who actually was like, he was second in line growing up, but he kind of overtook his brother, the other would-be emir, and he stepped in front of him to get the crown from his dad. So his dad passed the crown down to him, and this emir basically wants to turn Qatar into more of a tourist destination, wants to leave a legacy of his family behind. So he decided the best way to do that would be to try to host the World Cup. And everybody laughed at the emir and said, there's no chance you'll ever do this. There's no way that FIFA would ever give a tournament to a country that doesn't have any soccer stadiums, where it's 120 degrees in the summertime, doesn't have any transportation, and won't allow outsiders to drink alcohol or have sex. And the emir said, watch me. And then he did it, basically to make his dad happy. He did it to like make his dad proud of him, is kind of the entire gist of this. And also, he's he did something pretty amazing, regardless of where you stand on the emir's politics. He spent $220 billion in 10 years. That's pretty fucking hard to do.
Well, they had to pay a lot of labor.
Yes, Big T, good point. And we can maybe revisit this once Donnie gets back, because Donnie's talking to a lot of people over there, so he'll have a unique perspective. So we can maybe revisit that at a future point. But $220 billion is a shitload of money to spend.
A lot of money.
In 10 years. They built all these stadiums. They built a new metro that's probably not going to be used after like 5 weeks. It's just crazy. Everything over there is brand new. There were McLarens and Ferraris and Lamborghinis, in the airport, in the duty-free shop. So you could buy it tax-free. Maybe the craziest part of the entire trip was Thursday night, Thanksgiving night. We go to see a French Montana concert. He's performing at one of the fan festivals. He's about 4 hours late showing up, maybe 4.5 hours late showing up. And he gets on stage. He's like, I almost didn't make it here tonight. It's crazy. Some crazy stuff happened. I'm pretty sure I know what happened. Like, somebody had a shitload of weed, and the Qatari people at the airport were like, hey, French, you can't fly into Qatar with all these drugs. And then they got into a fight, and eventually they let him go. That's just my guess as to what happened. So he shows up, starts playing, and then he does, in an act of defiance, he plays Slob on My Knob by 3-6 Mafia. And I'm telling you, like, the courage that it showed for him to do that. You remember the 76 Olympics when they got on the podium, the track and field athletes, they put their left hand up in the air, or the right hand, whichever one it was, to show black power during the national anthem. That's basically what French Montana did by playing Slob on My Knob in Qatar, a country where premarital sex is forbidden. So it took some balls, man. Took some balls. What a powerful moment I was there for. Just a seminal moment in history. It'd be funny if, like, 40 years, 50 years from now, when they start writing the history of the Qatari Revolution and how Qatar became more of a westernized country, French Montana covering 3-6 Mafia, that will go down in the history books as the moment where, like, everybody's eyes opened up. It's like when Dylan and Hendrix and all those guys were playing at Woodstock. Yeah, it was touching. It was a touching moment.
Did he make it out?
I think so. I'm pretty sure French left. Yeah. I haven't heard any international incidents about French Montana yet, so I'm mostly sure that he made it out of the country. Donnie and I did do some things in Qatar that we did do some things, and you'll have to wait for the video to come out to find out what it is, or at least until Donnie's back from Qatar. But it was an interesting place, guys. I'd never been to the Middle East before, and I think I want to go back. It was super interesting. Maybe not to Qatar itself, but go to other countries over there, because it's a completely different culture.
How was the flight?
Flight was pretty easy. It was like 13 hours there, 14 hours back, and
Direct?
Yeah, direct flight. So I basically just tried to sleep as much as I could. On the way back, I put on Top Gun. I just kept rewatching all the combat scenes from Top Gun. I did that like 3 times on the way back. Yeah. What's up, Arian?
What up, dog? I do that shit all the time on the plane. I just straight to the mission and the combat scenes.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was a great way to pass the time.
Mm-hmm.
I took a lot of pictures. Big T will hate this. I took a lot of pictures out the airplane window. I did a shitload of that. I was like, man, this is beautiful. Look at this.
I would actually love to see some of those.
That's a place you've never seen before, though.
Yeah.
Like a very different, out-of-the-box thing.
Uh-huh. Well, mission accomplished. I got a tie. I went over there to bring home a draw. Donnie and I were able to do that. It felt like George Bush. Mission accomplished.
We could have won that game by 2.
We could have. Pulisic off the woodwork. We had some good goal-scoring opportunities. We were the better team in that game. Aside from the first, 10 minutes of the game, we were the better team. So it was cool to watch all the British fans around us. There's one, old British dude 2 rows in front of us that started dropping hard C-bombs 15 minutes in the game. And he was just the most British dude ever. He was like, "You're playing like a bunch of bloody cunts." And that's a shocking word to hear when everybody's sober, because there was no beer sold in the stadiums, although it did chug. Donnie and I sculled some Bud Zeros while we were there. But this dude was just screaming at the top of his lungs, like, "Fuck you, you bloody wankers, you fucking cunts, you proper cunts." And everybody was just looking at him like, "Dude, please chill out, please chill out." And it was a dude that probably could have done some damage if he was 40 years younger, but just this old, formerly jacked up British dude screaming at his team because they were getting tied by the U.S. It was pretty sick.
Did you try to get mentally drunk off the Bud Zeros? In your head that you felt like you were drinking real beer?
Yeah, I tried to get mentally drunk for sure.
Yeah.
I tried to convince myself that I was buzzing. There were other elements at play at the time, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yep.
That's all I'm going to say about that.
Could be anything.
We did not run Hong Kong back. It was not an MDMA episode, but it was. We had fun. We had a fun time.
What was your favorite thing you did in Qatar that wasn't soccer?
Favorite thing that I did in Qatar that wasn't soccer. That's a good question. I think we went to the souk. So the souk is a downtown market in Doha, and it's like a maze. You get lost in there so easily. There's a bunch of spice stores. There's a bunch of like clothing stores. There's a bunch of tailors. There's one part of the souk which is just nothing but cologne and perfume stores. So you just walk through this part and you get lost in this crazy smell that just doesn't go away for a while. But Donnie and I and Michelangelo went to a tailor in the souk because we wanted to get fitted for the thobes, those are the long white robes that they wear there. And so we got 3 of those, and they fitted us with hats as well. And the Qatari people and people in the Middle East in general they love seeing Westerners wearing their culture's clothing. They think it's very cool that when you're there that you get dressed up like they do. And so we asked to like get dressed up in traditional Qatari outfits. And so they gave us the keffiyeh, the head part. And the one that they gave us was actually the Saudi Arabia headscarf. And so we started wearing that, walking around the market. And there were all these Saudi Arabians there that were like running up to us and like laughing and taking pictures with us. And they kept adjusting our headscarf to make sure that it was set up in the correct traditional way. And like everybody was being like super friendly because they had never seen an American wearing this shit down there before.
They fucking played you. They played you so hard.
You think they played us?
Yeah, I think without a doubt. Because you had no idea what they were putting on you.
Well, no, I knew when they brought out the red and white checkerboard one. I was like, okay, I know. I've seen enough pictures of MBS to know that this is a Saudi thing. Okay. Yeah, if you see a guy that's wearing an all white headscarf, that's Qatari.
Gotcha.
And then the red and white, that's Saudi Arabia. So that was cool. And then we ran into a friend of the program here at Macrodosing, Colin O'Brady. He was the guy that walked across Antarctica. And so we found out randomly through a friend of a friend, he was going to be at this party the first night that we were there. So we ran into him, had a good time, and he was like, hey, tomorrow me and a bunch of friends are going to the Switzerland-Cameroon game because they were over there with like SpaceX. And we ran into a guy from SpaceX too. And the guy was like, yeah, the Emir loves Elon. So he gave Elon a bunch of tickets to his suite for like any game that you want. And so they hit us up the next day. They're like, okay, we're going to this game. You guys want to come? Sure, we'll tag along. So it's Thanksgiving Day. We go in, we're put through like 20 layers of security. It's crazy. Every like 2 feet, there's somebody stopping us, asking us, okay, let me see your papers. Where are you going? Who are you? And then they finally let us into this very luxurious suite. And it's with the Emir's translator, his personal translator is there. And then it's us, Colin, and then a couple other guys from SpaceX that were there. And the SpaceX guys were trying to convince us to go on a hike to the South Pole with Colin. And we said, no, thank you. Yeah, I said, actually, if you can get Elon to follow me on Twitter, I'll do it.
I'd be down.
I know you would be. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But I'm trying to play hardball here and be like, okay, get Elon to follow me on Twitter so I can get out of this jail, and then maybe we can talk. But I did volunteer your services in case they were looking for somebody to go either to the South Pole or to Mount Everest.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. So bottom line is we ended up having Thanksgiving dinner with the Emir's personal translator in the Emir's suite at the World Cup. And that was a crazy experience. That was wild.
Speaking of the 999 Club, I did see that there was a slip up. You did hit 1 million at one point.
Oh, for a couple seconds. Yeah. So this is a big fuck you to Elon Musk because I don't think that anybody has used the locking the account feature in the same way that I've used it, because like there's a lot of bugs in that system. Mm-hmm. There's a ton of them. Like if I lock my account and I see how many followers I have, sometimes I'll let some more people in the door. And then next thing I know, it'll have me like, I don't know, 40, 50 people over 1 million. Even though I did the math, I was like, no, I needed 40, 50 people to get to 999,999. And so there's fucked up stuff going on there. Also, when you apply to join Club 999, the way that it works is when I go to my look at follower requests tabs, it shows all the newest ones first. So if I want to go to the people that applied a long time ago, I have to spend like 15 minutes scrolling because it loads so slowly. I've just been like 15 minutes scrolling down to get to the bottom of it to then let those people that have been in the line the longest in. So it's tough. Elon, dude, you're fucking this whole system up. No disrespect. Thank you for the tickets, though, Elon. They were wonderful. They were wonderful. And Arian, I know you joined a couple minutes ago. We're all going around the room right now saying what our favorite things about Qatar and its leadership are.
Starts with a Q. That's pretty cool.
Yep. Yeah, the Q and no U.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Odd.
Mm-hmm.
How many Q countries are there?
Shit.
I can't,
Off the
Some
top
would
of my
say
head,
this is one.
I'd say
I
probably just Qatar.
I can't think of another one.
Yeah, I think it's just Qatar.
Just one.
Just Qatar.
Oh, wait.
Wow.
Also, Arian, I heard that joke.
I thought it was a good one.
It was a good one.
I missed it.
Too bad.
Queensland.
Billy, what's your favorite part about Qatar?
I just think it's so impressive that they literally hit the jackpot on the tiny parcel of land they have that's the size of Connecticut, that they hit that much oil. Like, that was even before they used oil. That's so crazy.
Yeah, it's like it was the cool place for all the dinosaurs to hang out back in the day, and then they all died there.
Yeah.
Pretty wild. So, like I was saying earlier, nobody that is working that I like interacted with is actually Qatari. All the people that are from Qatar, their entire jobs are just to like spend money and be rich and flex on people. That's kind of what they do. If you're from Qatar, you have no job. You don't need to work. You're rich as fuck. And then it's all the other people that are migrants from other countries that do any of the actual jobs there. So if you're talking to anybody face to face in Qatar, for the most part, they're not from there. They're just hired as laborers that work there, and then they support the super wealthy people over there. So it's a really interesting place. And it was actually super easy to get around too. Very easy. They have Uber. They've got like their version of Seamless. We ordered Popeye's chicken on Friday morning, and it arrived, and I was like, this is funny tasting Popeyes. And it was because it was Popeye chicken. It was Popeye chicken, and it was broasted, not fried. I don't know. I still don't know what broasted chicken is, but it was Popeye chicken. We had McDonald's over there on Thanksgiving. That was interesting. Had the McArabia wrap, and had what else did we have?
Is that real?
Yeah, the McArabia.
Is the McDonald's there like awesome, like European McDonald's, or is it like?
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. I'd say it was awesome. Had the Coca-Cola Freestyle machine. It had the McArabia, the McRoyale sandwich. A lot of cool stuff. It was honestly a very fun time, and I think that they probably don't want a Brittany Griner situation going on. They know that like this is their country's only time to be in the international spotlight, so they're trying to like not fuck it up and to relax a lot of the standards that they have. The one thing that I will say though, if you are a Muslim person and you're in Qatar, they will enforce their rules on you. They will enforce their rules hard. If you're a non-Muslim from out of Qatar, they are very much looking the other way. But they typically see a Muslim person that's vacationing there. If they do something that is haram or forbidden, it's like you should know better, and they fucking throw the book at you.
Like what though? Like give me exactly what?
Like if you're drinking in public, if you're seen like being inappropriate with a woman in their eyes in public, then they're more likely to give you shit about it. And that goes for outside of the World Cup too. Like just in general, it sounds like Westerners get away with a little, like with more things there, because right now Qatar is kind of in a competition with the United Arab Emirates, and they have UAE has like Dubai, and people go to Dubai for vacations all the time because you can party there. They've got like nightclubs, they've got cool stuff to do. And so Qatar is in a competition with them to try to get more tourism. And if they want to get more people to come to the country, they have to relax some of the standards that they have. Because right now UAE is crushing them in the tourism department.
Now, quick question. You're talking about how the Qataris, they don't really work. Their job is to spend money. Do you know what the like economic structure of that is? Is it like a socialism where everyone gets a share of the oil rights?
I don't know. I think it's all based on the ruling family, and I think that there's just a shitload of family members. So those are the Qatari people, would be like the ruling family, their children, their cousins, that whole thing. Those are the people that get shares of the oil rights there.
Wait, so everyone in Qatar is related?
I think like distant cousins, distant, and then I'm not entirely sure how that breaks down, but it's the people that have been there the longest that are the Qataris that have the oil, and so those are the people that you see if they're wearing the thobes and then the white keffiyehs. That's the Qatari national.
Huh. I'm trying to figure that out right now.
Yeah, it's a unique place, man. It's a unique place. They have a $300 billion fortune.
Before the petrol-based industry emerged, Qatar was a poor pearl diving country. So their main export before was pearls.
That's crazy. They've got this a giant pearl that they put on display. It's like a big statue that they have. Also, they're super sexually repressed over there, like a lot of other Middle Eastern countries are. And so they made the decision at some point, maybe subconsciously, that all their big structures are going to either look like penises or vaginas, because they never talk about sex. And it's definitely something that's like looked at as being like illegal over there. So there's like 4 different buildings that just look like giant dicks, and at least 3 big buildings that look like vaginas. It's crazy. It's like everywhere you look.
Do a lot of buildings...
Did you get it? Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, do a lot of buildings not look like dicks, though?
Yeah, but I'll show you. I'll send one to the group chat here of a building that is just straight up a penis with a condom on it. And you tell me if that is just like any other giant penis building that we might have here in the United States.
Did you have any food that was like, kind of their culture's dish?
Yeah, a little bit. I had some kebab. I had some hummus, a lot of hummus actually, and baba ganoush and mutabal, which is an eggplant type hummus. Some of that. They're not really known for their cuisine. It's not like it's basic Middle Eastern cuisine. I had a bunch of olives too. Do you see that picture that I just sent to the group?
Yeah, it's pretty dickish.
That's a penis.
That's just a penis, right? It's a penis. Yeah. And there's several penis buildings there. And then one of the stadiums that they built for the World Cup it just looks like a vagina from the top down. So that's what you do when you're a little bit sexually repressed. And it's also interesting to study how they're diversifying their money, and how a lot of countries in the Middle East are starting, because they're smart. They know that they're on top of a finite resource right now, and they know that the way that the world's going, they're not going to have oil forever. And then at that point, what do you do with all that money, the source of your entire country's wealth? So they're already planning way in advance of what to do when that day comes. So they're investing in everything. They're investing in movies. They're investing in sports teams. They're investing in airlines like Qatar Airlines, which is the company that you use to fly in and out of Qatar. They're owned entirely by the Qatari government, which is just kind of crazy. Like they're trying to diversify their income sources so they don't go broke once the oil runs out.
Wait, so if so Elon Musk is kind of the demise of their petroleum assets because he's creating electric cars, but they love him?
Yeah, they love him because he's rich, and also because like he can work with them. One of the real reasons why they love him is because he gives Starlink to their yachts. So he hooks their boats up with internet, and so they're like, okay, I love this guy.
That's hilarious.
It's funny y'all brought up Elon Musk and companies owned by the government. I had a tweet that you said you saw, Arian. I don't know if you saw it. I just wanted to mention it. Did you see Alyssa Milano's tweet, Arian?
No, I don't know who that is.
She's an actress, very, very left-wing actress, who tweeted the other day.
She's a Democrat. She's a liberal, not left wing.
That's what I figured.
Okay.
He says very left,
sure.
She is a super lib.
Okay.
Yeah.
She tweeted, "I gave back my Tesla." To whom or what is unspecified, probably because it didn't happen. I bought the Volkswagen electric vehicle. I love it. I'm not sure how advertisers can buy space on Twitter. A publicly traded company's products being pushed in alignment with hate and white supremacy doesn't seem to be a winning business model. So many people have been pointing out on Twitter in the recent days, Volkswagen was founded in 1933 by the German Labor Front. You can Google their logo if you'd like. You'll probably recognize it because that was the labor organization under the German government. The German government in 1933, for those who may have fallen asleep a day or two in history class, was run by the Nazi Party. And this, the company's original name was Volkswagen Work, which literally means the People's Car Company, and was founded almost directly by Adolf Hitler. So that's a fun fact. But yeah, Alyssa Milano loves her new Volkswagen electric vehicle that notably does not stand for hate and white supremacy. So it's very good that she can realign her values with her vehicle properly.
Well,
Yeah. I'm definitely gonna get the Volkswagen bus when it comes out.
That car does look pretty
That's-
sick.
It
That
does.
looks fucking dope. So I'm definitely gonna cop that. I don't do the virtue buying because like if you go down that route, you'll be wearing your own clothes that you make. You know what I mean? Like because every company outsources. Every company is capitalistic in nature and they exploit their workers and they set sweatshops with Nike and all like all this. You know what I'm saying? So it's like once you go down that road of like I'm not buying here because of X. It's a you're not gonna buy many things, and so it's just like you gotta pick your battles. That's just not a hill I'm willing to die on.
have you guys heard of iPhone City?
No.
So there's all these protests right now in China because it originally, they're shutting down places for COVID restrictions, and there was a company that did COVID tests that was purposely causing a lot of false positives so that they could sell more tests because people would retest. But I was reading about these protests, and it turns out there's a place in China where the iPhones are made, and they call it iPhone City because it's like huge, like sweatshop type buildings where they build iPhones. And
Haven't heard.
yeah,
Have heard of the protest though.
yeah.
Yeah, if you exist in society now, chances are a shitload of your money is going to funding some companies that do some pretty fucked up stuff. Kind of the cost of doing business of being alive in the 21st century. So you might as well give some money to us. That's right. The Barstool store right now, 20% off until the end of the day. You like that? That was a smooth ass transition right there.
That was
It's
good.
going to be
That was a
gone
good
by the
one.
time the show comes out, though.
Sometimes Avery puts it up early.
If you're listening to this before midnight on Monday, 20%
And
off.
Should I release
all-
this episode early?
I dare you.
I could.
A lot of people saying you don't have the balls.
All right.
That's just what the streets are saying. I'm not saying that.
But check it out. We've got
Who said that?
That's just what I've been hearing.
All right.
We've got these brand new shirts up right now that have beautiful illustrations of all of our smiling faces, along with a Yeti. Or is that supposed to be Coley? It's a big white furry guy, so it could go either way. Okay, it's a Yeti. And it's a sick drawing. You can check it out right now. It's available online on the Barstool store. Check it out now for 20% off. And we would certainly appreciate it if you did that. Big T, the Alyssa Milano thing. It's very funny because her entire like persona has become very narcissistic, where she's very wrapped up in her championing all these different causes online, but it's mostly to make herself look good. And you can tell just by looking at her avatar. Her avatar is a picture of like people supporting her, and she has a megaphone being like, "Go, Alyssa."
Well, she is a hero.
We
I mean,
believe
that's
in you.
warranted.
Yeah. So Alyssa Milano, you might recognize her from what again?
It's a great question.
I don't even remember what Alyssa Milano got famous for.
I got her. I was about to say being the Kentucky fan, but that's not her. That's Ashley Judd.
Are you sure it's not Alyssa Milano? Because I was going to say, isn't she a Kentucky fan?
No, it's Ashley Judd. They look fairly similar, I think. I couldn't name a single thing either of them have ever been in.
I'm going to guess it wasn't Alyssa Milano. Was she not in Mrs. Doubtfire? Was she the daughter from Mrs. Doubtfire?
No, that movie.
ESPN.
I don't see her in Doubtfire.
What, Billy?
Why do I feel like she was on ESPN?
I don't think so. She was on Charmed from 1998 to 2006.
Yeah, Charmed is what she's known for.
Oh, she was in Commando. She played Matrix's daughter in Commando. It's a great movie.
When you start Googling Alyssa Milano, the first thing that comes up is Alyssa Milano movies and TV shows. So a lot of people are also wondering what the hell she's ever been in.
All you had to tell me was that she was in Commando. That's a great, great movie.
Listed under her Google, if you Google Alyssa Milano movies and TV shows and scroll down to the 1, 2, 3, 4th row, Alyssa Milano sex tape is listed as one of her credits. So that's congrats to her on that.
Okay.
Is that Is it consensual?
I don't know. Let's click on it and find out. It's on It's on IMDb.
I think that
she.
Oh, it's a sketch. It's a sketch. Never mind.
Okay. All right.
I think Alyssa Milano has become one of those people that's just shorthand for, this is a lib that we all hate on the right wing, you know?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Like, I think a lot of right wingers think that Alyssa Milano is one of the most important figures in politics today, when nobody really gives a shit about her.
Do they hate her or Fauci more?
Fauci.
These motherfuckers,
He
they obsess over Fauci. It's shut up.
No, Fauci for sure. Alyssa Milano is just stupid. She's not evil.
You guys hear about the Balenciaga stuff?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah.
I've heard a little bit about it. So maybe you can inform me. I'm sure that this will be good about what exactly is happening with the Balenciaga scandal and Kim Kardashian and Kanye West and all that stuff.
Well, apparently Balenciaga just posted some advertisements that sort of like portrayed children in like sexual scenarios with like teddy bears and BDSM gear.
Okay, wait. So explain it to me again, because the children. What are the children doing in it? Is it like, because they definitely didn't have an ad campaign where it's like naked kids.
So like, here's one.
No,
Here's a
it's-
kid that's holding a stuffed animal that's in like
Oh,
bondage
okay.
gear.
So the teddy bear is wearing like
Yeah,
leather.
there's
okay.
Is in
there's
BDSM.
other
Got it.
ones. Hang on, and like here's another one similar with stuff laid out all over the bed.
What is that one? Is that like handcuffs and stuff on the bed,
Yeah,
and the kid standing
and then
next to it?
and then
Yeah,
there
that's kind of weird.
there were 4, and the fourth one was like papers laid out over a desk, and the paper was referencing a child pornography court case or something that struck down part of the
Simulated
child
porn.
pornography act or
Yeah,
something.
I saw that one, and then I saw somebody put a screenshot of the page that was copied and put out on that desk, and it was like a court ruling making like simulated child pornography either okay or not okay. It was like relevant to that ruling, and it was like that's a very strange thing for them to include in this ad.
I believe
But
it
what
was
is-
a case
is the
that
point?
struck down part of the child pornography act or something
Okay.
like that.
Yeah,
Did they say what the point of it was? Like,
Dude, it's kind of
I never
creepy.
saw an explanation for it.
Balenciaga. I saw earlier today that they like fired the ad agency that they were working with that made this for them.
They're suing them for $25 million for like neglect, and they released a statement being like, it was not our intention to have any of that. Like that was negligent from us and the production company that made that ad. So
Yeah.
they're suing them, which is weird because like you approved it.
And it's also a pretty big fuck up. If I don't, admittedly, I don't know that much about the world of high fashion, but
That's okay.
I would assume that one of the major things that you're looking for in an ad agency is that they're not putting out like little hints of child porn.
One would think.
That would be the first thing I would look for.
But then just look up the top design for Balenciaga, Loda Volkova, and you're gonna find some scary stuff from her Instagram.
Loda Volkova.
Her Instagram, I mean, it's just weird, man.
Oh, so she's just like a weirdo.
Yeah, but a lot of it has to do with kids, and it's just weird, bro.
Okay, I'm seeing one picture. She's wearing a Cannibal Corpse shirt. That's a metal band.
send it to the.
Yeah,
Oh,
like-
wait, no, I found it. I got it. Is it Lada?
yeah,
It's private.
yeah. It's private because all the photos got screen grabs. It's just some weird stuff.
So what is
Yeah.
the deal with Balenciaga? Why do people like Balenciaga?
I don't know.
It's just like a big designer brand, and Kim Kardashian was notably connected to it.
The
Recently.
same was the rest of that nonsense. Louis and Gucci.
Yeah, it's just another designer that people like, and it's very minimalist.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like Louis Vuitton or any of those other brands. It's just people like it and it's expensive.
It's status. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a status
Yeah, it's
symbol.
just- yeah, it's a
So wait-
status symbol.
Status symbols.
Now I'm gonna read between the lines a little bit. Are some people saying that it's more evidence of like the elite being child traffickers?
Not
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
really? I didn't see that part.
but just like
It's always linked.
look at what I just sent to the group. That's like a picture of her,
Yeah, that's
and she has
weird.
other stuff on her Instagram that's now private, where it's like weird shit.
Yeah, so in this picture that Billy just sent over, it's her holding 2 red children, and she's got blood on her hands. It looks like.
Yeah,
Yeah. She's a weirdo for sure.
Do you think? Yeah, definitely a weirdo. Do you think if she was actually like child trafficking and had a huge underground baby sex ring, she would be like showing up at fashion shows wearing like holding simulated dead babies?
look at what I else just sent you. There's more stuff from her Instagram that's just terrifying.
PFT, I feel like it's almost hiding in plain sight type of thing.
Gotcha.
I don't know.
Okay, I also found this really disturbing, and I will go into Alba and Adam later, but the next pictures are really something not for the faint of hearted. She seems to enjoy art and pictures that depict children either in distress, bondage, or something of that nature. And, oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, there's...
Dude, it's just weird.
Okay.
I think maybe we should look into these things.
Yeah, I mean, this very disturbing pictures that she has up on her Instagram for sure.
Yeah,
And where's she from?
I don't know. Just I've had a fever for the past
And
2
how
days.
and how do we know? Here's another question. I don't want to have to ask this, Billy, but how do we know that these are real? Now, did we do any sort of background verification besides just like seeing that somebody replied to a tweet with them?
They were just on Twitter. Basically, those are claimed photo screenshots of her Instagram account before she made it private,
Okay,
but it was public before.
but we're not 100% sure that they're real because like there are some people that just straight up make fakes of things like that, and then they reply, and then those get screenshotted, and more people reply to other tweets before you know that they're fake. I'm just making sure that we're not skipping any steps here.
I'm gonna be honest. I've had a fever for the past 2 days straight, and I was looking at one of those during one of my like fever stretches, and it was one of the weirdest things ever.
It is pretty strange. Arian, what'd you get into this weekend? How's your Thanksgiving? Christmas abs back on, or Super Bowl abs?
They back on now. I'm focused. I'm locked and loaded. You know, because I did a lot of, man, my mama threw down, bro. So I was inundated with great food. And then she makes breakfast every morning. It ain't got nothing to do with the plates. And so it's like giving me this big just plate of just eggs and cheese and potatoes and green chili. And it was just amazing, man. So we just had a good time. Kicked it with the fam. Watched a lot of football. We watched a lot of football. That was kind of cool. Just relax, man. Didn't even get out the house much.
Yeah. What'd you think of the Lions Bills game?
I don't think I saw that one. There was another one on. I watched. Wait, that was Thanksgiving, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, I saw that one. That one was like when we were prepping the food and shit. So I saw the one afterwards. What was after?
That would be the Patriots Vikings, or the Giants Cowboys.
Fuck, man, I didn't watch football. Holy shit! I think I watched college football then. God
Okay.
damn. I don't remember seeing none of them games.
That Vikings Pats game was insane.
So I actually didn't get to watch that. I tried to, but it was about 5:15 a.m. in Qatar, and so
Yeah.
I was out on the couch trying to stay awake for it. And right after kickoff, I fell asleep. But it looked like, I mean, credit to Kirk Cousins. He won a very primetime game, like the primest of times. And, there were some referee discrepancies according to Hank. So I'm not sure who to believe on that one.
It was actually, I was at the game, and they kept replaying that Hunter Henry catch at the goal line, and the ball, the way they were playing it on the big screen, the jumbotron, it looked like the ball was loose. The Vikings media guys kept replaying it and playing it when the ball was moving a lot, when it would touch down at the goal line. So as someone in the stadium, you would have thought it wasn't a catch. But then I was looking at it on Twitter while it was happening and getting reviewed, and I was like, that's definitely a catch. But the way they were playing on the jumbotron made it look like it was bobbled and there was no possession.
So, Billy, being in attendance at a Minnesota Vikings game, how much shit did you get from Vikings fans being like, fuck you, you're from part of my take, why do you hate us?
Well, I was incognito. I'm a Viking sympathizer, as we know, and that it's actually insane game ambiance. Like the crowd and the energy is like, comparing it to like since it's a dome and they have the drums and they do the skull stuff, it is a hard place to play. I would say it's loud in there.
So, but did anybody give you shit?
No.
Wow.
Well, I had like a hat and glasses on.
You were super incognito.
I was with family. I was like,
I just want to know what Billy Incognito looks like, because
you'll never know.
You probably are you still probably stick out like a sore thumb.
No.
Did you have like the nose with a mustache and the glasses on?
Exactly.
No one will ever spot you.
Yeah.
Mad Dog, how was your Thanksgiving besides getting a free bar tab?
Yeah, that was awesome. Shout out to that guy. It was really fun. Very chill, kind of isolated. Hung out with my dog a lot.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah, it was very chill. Ohio's very chill by the lake. It was very nice. Yeah, very Ohio, though.
Very Ohio. I love it.
Yeah.
Avery?
It's good, man. My weekend obviously sucked with the Rangers losing maybe the worst regular season game I've ever seen, but nobody really cares to hear about that. So it was fine. My parents are divorced, so it's like, and then my girlfriend's parents are divorced, so it's like 7 different families you got to go please. But it's good. You just eat a lot, and yeah, that's it.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah. I
A
remember
lot of holidays, a lot of everything.
one Thanksgiving, because of various families and people I was with at the time, I had to go to 3 separate Thanksgivings over the course of a day. And man, that was something else. I spent like the entire next day just crapping.
Yeah.
I was just like permanently on. I think I brought a TV into the bathroom for Black Friday because I was like, I'm not leaving here.
No.
Dude, I unloaded in a Stop and Shop my whole Thanksgiving meal. It was ridiculous.
Okay.
Was it
I
an
was
emergency situation pulling over?
No, I was kind of waiting. I was like, okay, I'm gonna make it home. But then like my mom told me to pick some stuff up at Stop and Shop. So then I was just in the Stop and Shop and I was like, I can't do it. But thank God they had a bathroom.
So
there.
it was an emergency situation.
Yeah, but I was stopping there anyway.
I've been
when,
there.
When we say unloaded, what are you talking about here?
Dude, serious volume.
Did you check for toilet paper before you sat down? Because at a Stop and Shop, you have to.
Put toilet paper down?
No, to check to make sure that there was toilet paper there.
No.
Just shoot first, ask questions later.
Yeah. I'd adapt, improvise, overcome.
All right, real quick, going around the room, rapid fire questions. What's the weirdest place you've ever taken a shit? Weirdest place you've ever pooped. I'll go first. I crapped in a lifeguard stand one time.
That's interesting.
In it?
Yeah, in the lifeguard stand.
Like not in the toilet.
No, in the lifeguard, on the lifeguard stand, on the top of the lifeguard stand.
Are we allowed to ask questions or no?
Yeah, sure, we can ask questions.
Why?
Why would you have any questions about that, though? It seems pretty straightforward. I was mad at the lifeguard, and yeah, they were just acting like a dickhead, and so I crapped in their seat.
That's wild.
Pretty simple stuff.
That was a revenge. That was a revenge attack.
It was a revenge lifeguard crap stand.
You just happened to have to shit when you needed to take revenge.
Yeah. It was a perfect storm for that person. They knew who they are.
The first thing that comes to mind is aqua dumps.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But
I do my best to not publicly boo-boo anymore. Like I'll hold it, dog. Just cause but the one time that I think this actually really is the last time I've done it. Unless it's a dire situation, I'll get it in. But I was snowboarding, and I just had to let it out. And I went in the bathroom. I guess it's not even that weird because it was in the bathroom, but it's just that bathroom smelled like shit. The whole like it was one of those things. It was like I almost threw up walking in there. It was just bad. It was piss all over. It was weird, dog. But I had to go. I had to do it. So, and I had to in them bathrooms you had to set it up, right? So I gotta take paper towels. Like I'm wiping the joint off. I'm putting paper towels on there. I'm 3-layering that thing up. It was just bad. The
Also,
whole.
There's arguably no worse position to be in than having to go to the bathroom when you're skiing or snowboarding. All right, with all that stuff on, you got the thermals on, you have the big snow pants, you got the ski jacket. Like, you don't want to be taking that stuff off.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had to shit somewhere that wasn't in a toilet. I did have to shit in LaGuardia yesterday. That sucked.
Oh yeah, that's so good.
Luckily, it was the new terminal.
LaGuardia is good though.
The new terminal, it's better, but like you don't want to find yourself having to shit in a bathroom upon arrival. That's even worse too.
Mm-hmm.
It was. But other than that, this summer I almost shit my pants walking around UT at like 7 a.m. I think I told that story on here. We were just walking around campus and like nothing was open because it was the summer and early in the morning. And I had drank coffee and it just came back. And luckily I ended up getting into the football facility and going to the bathroom in there when I was 10 seconds away from shitting my pants. It was not a good situation.
Actually, I think this was a toilet and was a bathroom, but I was in a shopping mall. I was in a strip mall, and I was trying to look for a place to use the bathroom. I kept going in and asking. They're like, no, employees only. And then I went to a Planned Parenthood, and there was shit there. They let me use the bathroom.
You should have led with that.
That's the weirdest place.
Billy, were you getting booed like going in? Were there picketers outside like trying to keep you out?
No, there wasn't any protesters. It was in the shopping mall.
I love that. I can just imagine Billy like also sneaking out, and he's ashamed because he just like went and had to take a big dump, but he's like got his hat pulled down real low. He's got the sunglasses on, hoping nobody sees him leaving the Planned Parenthood, but it's just because he took a giant shit in there.
I shit my pants in 3rd grade. It was really bad. I was sitting on the floor. We were sitting in like a circle, and I was sitting like crisscross applesauce, and I just couldn't hold it, and I shit myself, and I just sat there. I sat there in my shit, and I literally sat there, and it started to smell, and that's when I knew it was over. People were just looking at me, and I was like, listen, man, it happened. I got to get up.
How did you get up?
I got up and went to the bathroom.
Did you think fall out on the way?
I don't remember. It was traumatic, though. The whole experience of just sitting in it was traumatic.
I'm like
that's old to be shitting your pants, man. 3rd grade, what are you like 8 or 9?
Well, here's the issue. When I was growing up, I didn't fully learn the concept of using toilet paper, so I was a big baby wipes guy. Yep. And because like how some kids grow up and they just stick with their bottle for a little bit longer than they do. Me, it was toilet paper. Like I just couldn't figure out the concept of toilet paper, folding it, this and that. So I was just like a baby wipes guy.
Nobody has ever done this and that does that much work. As what you just did right now.
It's a horrible look for me. But yeah, I was a baby wipes guy, and I didn't want to poop in the school bathroom because they didn't have wipes. So
They didn't have your wipes. Did you?
I just let it fly.
What about just bringing your wipes to school?
So that led to that. Yeah.
Are you still a wipes guy?
No, not anymore. No.
What was it? What broke your condition?
Learning
wipes are better.
learning. Hold on. Yeah, dude wipes are great. By the way, there's nothing against dude wipes because I do use them like when we have them, but it just became such a problem because I was fucking up the plumbing in my house, like I was just like flushing baby wipes, and yeah, it was bad. It was really bad. It took that to them be like, all right, we need to put baby wipes in because there was a bathroom in our classroom, but I wouldn't go in it because I would just hold it because my elementary school was like a block from my house. So I could walk home from elementary school and get to my house in time. And it was just a bad day. And it led to me having to have baby wipes in the bathroom in our classroom.
They had to create an Avery rule?
They had to create an Avery rule, yeah. And yeah.
So wait, did you ever leave school to go home just to take a shit?
No, because I never really had to. It was just a freak scenario where I just maybe had bad lunch or whatever. And
was it a fart that got out of control?
No, it was straight straight lava. Like,
a catastrophe.
It was a full-on catastrophe. We should bring Jerry in to talk about his worst shit experience.
Yeah, you want me to hit him up?
Yeah, see if he's around. But it was really bad. And I think what led me to go to toilet paper was the fact that I couldn't just be walking around with baby wipes the rest of my life. It was embarrassing.
Baby wipes are so useful, like to this day, though. I think they're great.
Listen, toilet paper doesn't completely do the job. It's not.
No.
It's not wet enough. It doesn't get what you need to get done.
Makes your butt hurt.
It does make sense that I was a baby wipes guy for so long, but a change had to be made. Now I have one of those built-in bidets in my toilet. That thing's great.
You would be a bidet.
What does that mean, Billy? Bidets are great.
Billy, what kind of implication were you ascribing to having a bidet?
That's fucked up.
I don't know. No, it's just fun.
It's a real backtrack, huh?
Very European.
So
say what you want to say.
Yeah.
Are you a bidet guy, Big T?
No, I've never used one. I'm just curious what that meant, what you said to Avery.
What do you think I'm getting at? It's like you would be a bidet guy, like people who like bidets. It's like funny.
That makes no sense.
Okay.
So in Qatar, they have, not only do they have toilet paper, and some places have bidets, a lot of the toilets have a little hose. You know, like when you use a sink and it's got that little retractable hose that comes out with a tiny handle that you squirt to like put on your dishes. Toilets over there just have one of those just on standby next to the toilet so you can spray your asshole down with it, like manually. And it's crazy because the volume of water that comes out is almost like a garden hose. So you spray yourself. I had to try because it's like, okay, I didn't want to be rude.
Right.
I wanted to try the new custom. And I sprayed myself and then just water goes spraying everywhere. And it's like, wait, this is now ass water that's now sprayed across the room because it deflected off my butt.
Yeah.
And so then I stopped using the detachable hose next to the toilet after that.
No, there's nothing wrong with a bidet. It's precise. It gets the job done.
Yeah, nothing wrong at all. I tried my first bidet like 9 months ago down in Lake Charles at the LeBear's Casino down there, where Arian and I ended up going on a vacation a few months after. But I recorded myself the first time I used a bidet because I didn't know what to expect. I accidentally cranked it on like full power, and it was too much.
Yeah, you have to ease into it.
It was too much action. So I learned how to use the bidet after that. Billy's just like giggling. Like the look on Billy's face is like, you guys are gay.
Exactly, 100%.
Yeah, because you let something touch your butthole.
Yep.
I'm not. It's just, it seems like you guys have spent a lot of time.
I literally said that was the first time that I've used a bidet was like 9 months ago.
Whatever's, it's just funny. Do you not think it's funny?
Why are you afraid of something touching your butt?
I'm not. I've used bidets.
Do you wipe your butt?
Yeah.
It's sus.
That's not what I'm saying. I once took an aqua dump when I was like.
But wait, you said that you've used tons of bidets, but the fact that we have used a bidet in the past, you're like, really?
I think owning a bidet is different than coming encounters with a bidet.
It's an attachment to a toilet seat that just shoots water into your ass. Something wrong with that.
It's hygiene, Billy.
Yeah, come on, Billy.
Okay, but I just remembered I took an aqua dump once at a lake. I was like 8, and I was pretty far offshore. So then I did it and then swam back to shore, and my shit washed up.
Oh, dude, what the fuck?
Your shit washed ashore?
and someone goes, "Who the fuck?" Okay. Don't clip any of these shit clips.
I need to ask you guys a question, being the only girl on this podcast, real quick, if we're speaking about pooping and stuff. You guys all know you have to wash your butt in the shower, right?
Yeah, I wash my butt.
There's like a new thing on TikTok where girls have to tell their boyfriends that they need to like spread the cheeks in the shower.
Yeah, some guys are gross. Some guys are just gross when it comes to that.
If you're listening to this and you're not washing your butt, wash your butt immediately.
Wash your ass. Hey, Jerry. Jerry just joined.
Jerry.
Yeah, have a seat on the couch. Jerry, we were just shooting the shit, just talking about times that we've pooped ourselves. And no, you don't have to use headphones. Actually, yeah, maybe because Arian and Billy are on the other line there. Arian, I'm not sure if have you met Jersey Jerry?
Believe so, yeah.
Okay, cool.
We met once, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. He lit the
Science project
$100 bill on fire.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that was shit with names. Yeah, of course.
that was a very good experiment.
Yeah.
Lit.
So we're talking about different times that we've shit ourselves. Avery crapped himself in 3rd grade, and he said it just went everywhere. He was sitting crisscross applesauce on the floor, and they had to install an Avery rule in his school, which is you have to have baby wipes in every bathroom, so that Avery would feel comfortable going there. Everyone is familiar, or a lot of people are familiar with your most recent experience that you had on the train.
Yep.
Which we've recovered from. We move on.
Yeah.
Is there any other recent event that you've had like that besides the full-on blowout?
No, but looking back on it, the problem started about a week prior. For some reason, I was having a hard time getting to a bathroom. So I don't know if it was like a week-long thing where I just couldn't make it, but I think the problem started about a week prior to the actual incident.
So there were like little rumblings of there being an issue where it was like shart problems?
I never sharded. There was a lot of close calls that week.
Yeah. That happens to me all the time when I get into a bathroom and I see the toilet and I like rip the pants off.
Yeah.
And then very last second I sit down and just go to town. I always think to myself, like, was I actually a half second away from shitting everywhere?
Oh yeah. Have you ever done the cough or the sneeze?
Yep.
And then you make a mistake.
Yeah. Yeah, that's bad. The cough is what does it for me.
Yeah.
And the second, there's also, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm getting older, but there are times where I think I've made a mistake. And then I check and I'm like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But that happened to me on the plane ride back from Qatar, actually. I was asleep on the plane ride back. And then I woke up because there was like a cough fart moment that I had in my sleep. But if you fart in your sleep, you don't know if it's a fart or if it's a shit. You think that you might have shit yourself.
Oh yeah.
At night.
Oh yeah.
But fortunately everything was clean. All right. Well, just seeing if you had any other incidents.
No, not really. I've just been playing it cool recently. I have no close calls, so up and up.
The couple days after, were you like extra cautious, like taking more shit than you thought necessary?
I didn't think the video would even be a big video. I texted Dan. I'm like, yo, you see a lot of shit here. I was like, I don't think this is something I would post, but like, do you think I should? Is it kind of funny? He's like, dude, you have to post it. And I didn't think it'd be big. I just thought it'd be like, whatever, 1,000, 2,000 likes or something. It just went crazy. Now there's times where I'm walking down the street for a slice of pizza or something, whatever. It's like, oh, Jersey Jerry, it's a catastrophe. And I'm like, yeah, it was.
When you turn the camera over to the pile of clothes, that was like one of the more shocking reveals.
Because it was like a diarrhea.
It was like a yellow green diarrhea.
Rancid, bro.
Yeah, it was bad.
It's like I ate a dead possum or something.
Yeah, that also had diarrhea.
Yeah, it's just bad all the way around.
Sad day.
Yeah, it was.
All right, Jared. Well, thank you for joining us. Who are we on? We're on Steelers tonight?
We're on Deontay Johnson touchdown tonight.
Okay, because Avery's putting this out extra early.
Yep.
Deontay Johnson.
Deontay Johnson touchdown tonight.
Yes, sir.
Got it.
Big.
Very cool. Thank you, Jerry.
You got it.
This interview with Jon Weinbach is brought to you by HelloFresh. The holidays are just around the corner, and HelloFresh makes this busy time of year easier than ever with chef-crafted recipes and pre-portioned ingredients delivered right to your door so you can spend less time meal planning and prepping. Save money on dinner with HelloFresh and put it toward your holiday shopping. HelloFresh is cheaper than grocery shopping and 25% less expensive than takeout. With over 35 weekly recipes, there's something to please everyone. You can also easily customize your recipes by swapping proteins or sides, upgrading to choice proteins, or even adding protein to a veggie meal. Quality is HelloFresh's priority. Ingredients travel from the farm to your home in less than 7 days, so you know that they're fresh. I love HelloFresh. It's very easy to make these meals, and they're also delicious. No fuss, no muss. HelloFresh is the best home meal prep service that we use here at Barstool Sports. I love it. Delicious meals. Really simple to cook, really simple to clean up. Two important things, especially if you're busy. You don't want to spend a lot of time planning, prepping, cooking, or cleaning up at the end of a meal. HelloFresh makes all those things very easy. Go to HelloFresh.com/dose. Use code DOSE for 70% off plus free shipping. That's right, 70% off plus free shipping with promo code DOSE70. DOSE70 at HelloFresh.com/dose70. All right, we now welcome on a very special guest, Jon Weinbach. He is behind a very interesting documentary to myself in particular. It's called Good Rivals, and it's been coming out. You can find it on Prime Video Sports. Two of the installments are out already. There's another one coming out this week.
Correct, Thursday.
Okay, coming out on Thursday. Check it out. It traces back and documents.
Take it back. It comes back. The third episode comes out Wednesday. Sorry.
Comes out Wednesday. Check it out. It's on Prime Video. I cannot wait to watch this because it's all about the political, social, and sporting layers of one of the biggest sports rivalries of the last 30 years. And again, it's called Good Rivals. It's centered around the United States and Mexico men's soccer teams. And I guess when I'm thinking about the rivalry between those two teams, I've seen countless matchups between them. There have been near fights. There's been some incredible games. I think back to 2002 as the most important part. Maybe that's just because I'm an American and we ended up winning that game in the knockout stage at the World Cup. But that 2002 matchup between Mexico and the United States, I remember staying up until like 3 a.m. and I couldn't get it on TV because they were going to play it later on ESPN and do a rebroadcast. So I was listening to the Spanish radio call, trying to figure out what the hell was going on in that game when Claudio Reyna made his famous run down the sidelines. And it was an incredible moment. So go check it out right now. It's an absolutely fascinating topic to me. What made you want to work on producing this documentary?
Well, I mean, I'm a diehard, fanatical U.S. soccer fan in general, but particularly U.S. soccer fan. I'm 46. I'm old enough to remember the days when you had to defend being an American soccer fan.
Yeah.
Just, both from, the funny part is my older brother is now a massive fan, but he used to make fun of me for being a soccer fan. There was just sort of this built-in American idea that soccer was other, that was for, the foreigners, was for Europeans, was for South Americans. So to put it mildly, this is a very personal and project for me, and also a big professional one. It's our first project to make air at Skydance Sports, and we launched the division about a year ago. But look, I'm 1%er of sports geekery across the board: basketball, soccer, baseball, football. But soccer is the sport I played the longest, and I think sort of by dint of having grown up in Los Angeles, which has always been a really active soccer landscape, and from the first days of the sort of the modern era of American soccer, really from the 90s when we first qualified for the World Cup in 1990. About half that team was from UCLA. I saw those guys practice in 1990 at UCLA. I went to the World Cup in 94. I was an intern at Major League Soccer in the second year of its existence. I wrote about it as a journalist. So all of those things made me highly, highly interested. And sort of when we launched Skynet Sports, one of the topics I was interested in pursuing for our group was the U.S.-Mexico rivalry. Well, it turned out John Skipper, the former president of ESPN, and Deirdre Benton, the woman who runs Unscripted, they had the same idea. They had been starting this project initially sort of as a feature, and came to me and came to us and said, "Hey, would you be interested in partnering on it together?" And we expanded it to a 3-part series. And it was just one of these things. There aren't, when you're in sports storytelling, any kind of storytelling, but particularly in sports, what are those topics that it's more than a game? It sounds like a cliche, but where there are storylines that go beyond the statistics, that there's politics, that there's culture, that there's identity. And this really hits a lot of them. Obviously, there are other great soccer rivalries: Brazil, Argentina, England, Germany, England, France, all over the world. But none are quite, I would argue, as unique as the US and Mexico because of the relationship between the two countries, and also a demographic thing. As hardcore as Brazil, Argentina is, there are not 30 million Argentinians living in Brazil wondering which culture they belong to. There are not 30 million Germans living in England wondering, should they root for England, should they root for Germany? That is the case in the United States and Mexico. And it's also one of the only spheres of sports where the United States is an underdog, right? It has been. Obviously we've leveled the playing field in the soccer respect in the men's game over the last 30 years. But for, 200 years, what did Mexico in one way, shape, or other always have over the United States was soccer. And that is no longer the case. And I think that was really interesting storytelling. And that's, a long way of saying why I got into the project.
That makes sense. To me, it felt good the moment where I realized that we actually did have a rivalry against Mexico in soccer. Because, I'll relate this to being I'm a Washington Commanders fan. And, for a while, nobody really cares about my team. Why would you care? Why would you spend any effort being a rival against the Commanders? In the NFC East, it's largely become the Dallas Cowboys and the Eagles. That's the biggest rivalry that we have. And I'm always here like, man, I really wish that somebody would hate me, because at a certain level, it shows respect if they respect you enough to hate you. And for a while, the U.S. didn't have anybody that really cared enough about us to hate us in soccer. When would you say became that moment where it became a legitimate rivalry, where Mexico and Mexican fans were like, we hate the U.S., we hate that soccer team, they are our rivals?
I would say there's a couple, and we actually, you mentioned the 2002 World Cup game. That's obviously the biggest. I would say the rivalry becomes truly real in the 90s when the United States hires the former Mexican national team coach, Boro Milutinovic, to coach the team at the World Cup. And we start getting some results. The United States starts getting some results against Mexico in the United States. I would say it really turns into a real rivalry when in 2001, I was actually at this game in Columbus, Ohio, the coldest I've ever been at a sporting event. The United States plays Mexico in a World Cup qualifier in Columbus. It's really the first game when the United States has a real home field advantage. And that becomes a signal to Mexico that now not just our team has improved, but the culture has improved. And without a doubt, the thing that sets it to another level is the World Cup match, which we flag. It's actually the first thing that's flagged in the series in episode 1. And then we really go deep in it in episode 2, because, Landon Donovan says it in our show. It says, we could go another 50, 100, 200, 500, 1,000 years without playing Mexico in a World Cup, just because of the nature of it's a tournament. And, who knows if you'll ever play one another in a knockout round match. And that's on the world stage at a neutral site. And the United States wins 2-0 and fairly convincingly at that. And so I think it takes it to a whole other level. And basically over the last really 20 years, you've seen this roller coaster of U.S. wins, particularly on U.S. soil, Mexico winning in Mexico City and convincingly. And then in between some of these regional games, the Gold Cup or the CONCACAF, it was the CONCACAF Cup one year, where Mexico wins on American soil, generally in cities that have a large Mexican population like Pasadena or Dallas or where have you. So, and the thing that I think also makes it really timely is that now, as the United States has developed a proper youth training system and we have a real professional league with academies of their own, you have what really is unique, which is you have Mexican American kids born in the United States, trained in Major League Soccer academies, choosing to play for Mexico or having that choice, being on the fence. That is truly unique in the world. There's lots of places where players make choices. Like in France, there are a lot of players from the French diaspora, like from the Caribbean departments, Guadeloupe or places, in French Africa, that they choose to play for, let's say, the African country because of playing time. But they're not neighbors the way U.S. and Mexico are. It's very different.
Mm-hmm. Arian, you have anything?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, kind of exploring that dynamic. I just kind of like touch on like what was your kind of observation of exploring that dynamic from the unique, melting pot that is America, and having Mexican-born citizens who enjoy the country that they live in, but still feeling that pride to their native homeland, and exploring that dynamic through the medium of sport. Like what would you say, that's your observation?
I think that's what makes it so unique, because again, there are instances, and by the way, in a lot of sports, we see it in, there are like Olympians who play for Russia because they have some weird connection to Russia and they can get playing time. But it's very interesting on the US-Mexico soccer rivalry because of the power dynamics, right? The U.S., one of the Mexican interviews we did, a very prominent journalist said, we, Mexico, have always been that awkward neighbor, and the United States dominated us politically, culturally, economically. But soccer was the one place that we could have pride that America could be beaten at. And so you have this situation where many of Mexican American kids, very proud to be American, identify as American, but something is calling them culturally to play for Mexico, to wear those colors. It's sort of like, if you have a family where you have some kid, maybe one parent went to Michigan, one went to Ohio State, or UCLA and USC here in LA. Who does the kid play for? Who do they root for? It really comes down to where they feel it in their heart. And obviously, hey, can they get playing time? Is the opportunity there? But I think it's very unique in the world where you have it, where the countries are actually physically neighbors. And we're so interconnected with Mexico in ways that I think people don't even realize, not just because of illegal immigration or Taco Bell, but because, this is a significant, group of people who comprise America. And so again, you have instances of this in other countries. Like look at any national team in the world. They're not all purebred Germans or purebred Italians or purebred Brits. Look, the Brits have players who are basically Ghanaian, who are Nigerian, all over. And it's just that's kind of the world we live in. But again, when it comes to this rivalry, what makes it so kind of multi-layered is the very personal dynamics. I mean, in our show, we focus in on Landon Donovan for the U.S. and Rafa Marquez for Mexico. Now, Rafa Marquez, listeners may not know, this is a guy who played in 5 World Cups, who was an anchor of, the Barcelona defense. This is arguably the greatest team in the history of international soccer. And he was really both these guys were symbols of their country's respective dreams and nightmares. Because when Rafa played against the United States, he would fail miserably, got a red card in the World Cup, and then scores a huge goal for them to beat the United States, to break the curse of Columbus in 2016. But for Rafa, it was very personal. His grandfather had abandoned their family to go to America, had caused a lot of pain. So the rivalry was very personal to him. And that's kind of the way that what makes the show unique. And when I think people watching it, wondering, how did the U.S. get into soccer and where's Mexico and all this? I think this is a great way to, sort of learn more about it from a lot of different angles.
Yeah, this is what I love about international soccer, that you don't get it. The club level it's never interested me nearly as much, but the World Cup and the qualifiers and the regional tournaments, that's honestly geopolitical stuff sometimes that gets woven into the fabric of the games. And it's just fascinating. It feels like the stakes are so much higher in international soccer than they ever are in club soccer. Billy, do you have any questions?
When you were making this documentary, did you ever find that it was hard to get individuals to tell their story and they were quite reserved? Because looking back at the Last Dance, you got a lot of great revealing stuff. And sometimes I was wondering when watching some of these is how exactly are you able to sort of peel back layers on these people and get them to really tell their own stories?
I mean, look, it's every project's different. I think, I've had the good fortune to work on some, high profile sports projects, just talking about international. I just directed a film for Netflix called The Redeem Team, talking about the US team from 2008 with LeBron and Kobe and Dwayne Wade. And we interviewed Pau Gasol for that. And I was when he was representing Spain. I think it's a kind of a funny gumbo of factors that leads people to be revealing. I think there needs to be a certain amount of time that's passed. And I think there also needs to be the sense from the subject that the interviewers are not looking to do necessarily gotcha stuff, like, oh, we're going to catch you in an embarrassing thing, but are also being fair, meaning we wanted to have both perspectives. This couldn't just be like a rah-rah USA thing where, oh, we're the big underdog and screw Mexico. And at the same time, it couldn't just be this thing about how Mexico dominated the US, because that would get old. And I think there really hasn't been the definitive snapshot of this rivalry. And I think we came into it with really eyes open about that and giving our subjects the opportunity to talk about this. And it wasn't also the definitive history of everything that's happened in US soccer and everything that's happened in Mexican soccer, because that's such a big topic. It was really, we wanted to kind of hold it to the rivalry and how those, and get the people's best feelings about it. And we were able to get, a really great selection of both voices from the American side and the US side. And, they were awesome. I mean, that's the short answer. Is I'd like to say, oh, we were just such great interviewers. But I mean, I think our team did a really great job. We had an international team and our director's Nicaraguan. So he's kind of Switzerland in all this. Mm-hmm. We had American producers, we had Mexican producers. I was lucky enough to conduct the Landon Donovan interviews with our director, Gabriel. And, I think Landon may have had a reputation earlier in his career for being maybe not the greatest interview in the world. He was fantastic, really vulnerable, really candid. And as was Rafa Marquez.
Yeah, Donovan, he's always seemed like pretty reserved to me. But when I would watch him play against Mexico, that's when like that little bit of fire would come out. He would kind of change and get aggressive. He would yell if players were flopping. Did you get into the flopping at all? Because that's the part that would piss me off the most about playing against Mexico, is because I knew, okay, that it's going to be a physical game and they're going to be going after each other. But as physical as it gets, the second we touch them, they're going to fall down and they're going to cry for about 10 minutes and waste all the time. Did you ask any of those questions?
Well, the answer is it's probably the one part of the game. I would say two things. The diving, the culture of diving, and the clock, and just the nature of extra time and it seeming kind of random are sort of the two elements that bother Americans. And it, to a certain extent, bothers me. I mean, I think if we're really being honest, isn't there that same culture of fakery in the NBA? Isn't there that same culture of fakery in pro football with every damn play, them crying for pass interference or holding? So, you could make an argument either way. Sorry, Arian. But like I think that if anything, what some of the later, more recent Americans would tell you is, hey, this is the way the game is played, and we're naive if we don't play that way. It is a part of the game, just like, every sport has its, unwritten rules and dirty tricks. And in soccer, time wasting and diving is one. I don't like it, but it is part of the game. It's funny you mentioned that because I was watching the Argentina-Mexico game. I'm like, Jesus,
oh, yeah.
There's going to be like 90 minutes of extra time because of all the diving.
It's an art form to those guys sometimes. And
I mean, look, haven't we seen this in the NBA, by the way? Come on.
Oh, yeah.
Vlade or Bill Laimbeer or, Michael Cooper for my beloved Lakers would flop all over the place.
Or LeBron. Yeah, LeBron. He likes to play it up too. Yeah. It was just always, it struck me that in the U.S.-Mexico game, I just knew that game in particular was going to see more embellishment than we typically see. Big T, you have any questions?
Yeah, so you mentioned The Redeem Team, which I watched recently, one of my favorite documentaries I've seen in a long time, and I think PFT talked about The Last Dance. I was curious, out of this one, the Good Rivals and those two I just mentioned, is there a best story or line that someone said or something that didn't make it into the documentary? What's the best thing that got left out?
Of all three?
Of anyone, yeah.
Let me talk about Good Rivals that didn't make it. There is a great story that didn't make it because, unfortunately, footage-wise, would have been challenging. Which is when Landon Donovan was actually on the U.S. He was already on the national team, but he was on the U.S. Olympic soccer team. That was trying to qualify for the 2004 Olympics in Athens, and he created a bit of an international incident by peeing on the field in Mexico. And he was caught, and it became a kind of an incident, and he had a very funny story about it, and a whole anecdote with him and Bruce Arena. We could not get that one in. That was a great anecdote. I'm trying to think of others in terms of specifics.
Why are you not allowed to pee on the field?
Yeah, exactly. I think in a certain way with Good Rivals, we had an embarrassment of riches on it because there's so many games where there was, shit talking and all kinds of things going on between the teams. I mean, there's a really great moment in episode 2, and I don't want to ruin it, but it's talking about the World Cup game against Mexico, U.S. versus Mexico in Korea. There's a great moment between Landon and Luis Hernandez from Mexico, who, if you remember, was the guy with the long, flowing blonde locks. It looked like out of a telenovela. Super hateable, and from a U.S. perspective. And they had a really interesting, let's call it. They had a discussion, a heated discussion, where Luis said some things, and Landon said, "Ooh, that went too far." So I'd encourage you to watch that.
Interesting. So what's a topic of a documentary that's next up for you? One that you would like to make, maybe that you haven't even started making yet?
Oh, there's a bunch. I mean, listen, there's probably 3 or 4 big white, whales in terms of great topics. Andre Agassi is a great one. The Dallas Cowboys of the 1990s is a great one.
Andre Agassi would be fantastic. People don't remember that Andre Agassi, at least some of maybe our younger listeners, don't remember when he came out and he had the mullet. He was like the bad boy. He was like the first real bad boy of tennis.
Well, he's also, he's got a fascinating book that he wrote.
John McEnroe.
Oh, yeah.
McEnroe, I would have said, but they just did a really good Showtime doc on McEnroe. There's those. I mean, certainly, the Niners of the 80s are pretty good material too.
Yeah. I mean, you work with the Meadowlark guys. I'm friends with Mike down there. He did a musical. What about a musical about the Florida Gators teams of the late 2000s?
That's another one. I think that I'm trying to think. There's a few. I mean, I would say the Cowboys, the Niners, probably some sort of Roger Federer or the tennis area I think is really interesting. Between Federer, Nadal, and also Andre Agassi, I think those are really, really good territory. I mean, in a certain way, obviously, I would have said the Shaq Kobe era Lakers, but a lot of that is sort of covered in the Hulu series. Mm-hmm. I think Pat Riley's a fascinating character. And so, there's a number of them.
Phil Jackson too. I feel like
Phil Jackson. Yeah. And I'd say, listen, Phil Jackson too, there's about, more or less an episode of The Last Dance that's not entirely, obviously, the whole Phil Jackson story, but a lot of it.
Popovich, that would be dope. Because he don't really get a lot of the shine I feel like he deserves because he's in a small market.
Yep. Trying to think off the top of my head. That's probably where my head would go.
Yeah. Arian, do you have any more questions?
No, man. I just appreciate the work that you've done. It's really dope. I think documentaries are I can't get enough of documentaries in general, just because they're just like, they're telling the story of our culture in real time, and you do a great job. So I don't got a question, but I just really appreciate what you've done because they're really, really dope.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, no, just start it, complete it. Good Rivals. The first 2 episodes are out. The third one will be later this week, and let's hope for good results for both U.S. and Mexico, particularly U.S. tomorrow against Iran.
Yeah. I can't wait to watch this series. This sounds fantastic. I guess the one last thing I would have, since you were involved in The Last Dance, what was that like for you? How involved were you in the discussion of moving the debut up as COVID hit and as America was all locked? We were locked inside our houses. We're going so crazy that like we thought Tiger King was the best show that we've ever seen as a nation. And we were just all looking for something to enjoy together at the same time to make it feel like life was still going on. How involved were you in the discussions of when to debut that documentary series?
I wish I could claim credit for that. That was a masterstroke, kind of a team decision, but really led by kind of Connor Shell at ESPN, who's now has his own very successful production company, and Mike Tolan, who's runs Mandalay Sports Media, and the folks from the NBA and Jordan. I think, it's interesting. It was a very long process from literally ideation to seeing the project debut, literally 5 years. I don't know. I think our initial air date was June. And I can tell you that when the decision was made to do this scheduling of the 5 consecutive Sundays with 2 hours, I think we had more or less 7 episodes completed, but 3 not.
Uh-huh.
So, in fact, I think the last interview that was done for the show was John Stockton in Spokane, Washington. And it was a very interesting scenario because Jason Hare, unbelievable job as the director, was in New York. And there was a moment, if you remember at that time, Washington was Seattle was ground zero for COVID.
Yep.
And there was about 48 hours where I was going to go to Washington to maybe do the interview because we couldn't risk Jason getting stuck, in Washington because of COVID. And literally that's how fast it all came together. There was still an interview to be done. But it ended up obviously being, the greatest scheduling decision, and certainly in sports documentary history, because I don't think any of us could have predicted that, it would literally be the only thing on. It was because it's not even that we landed in the pandemic. It's when in the pandemic the show landed, it was sort of at the height or the low point of fear and just and life shutting down completely. I mean, one of the greatest things, and probably not replicable, about the project is that each episode felt like the World Series because it was or the Super Bowl because there literally was nothing else on.
Yeah.
And so it ended up obviously being a masterstroke. But I wish I can claim credit for that. I cannot.
It was as close to live TV as we could get at that point, which we all,
that's right,
I think, as a country needed. Yeah, Bill, you have something else?
My last question is, with interviewing all these people, does anybody after it's released ever complain how they may be construed or sort of like be upset with how they came out in it, even though most of what they did was from their own words?
Certainly, I've had projects where that's been the case. With this one, not really. I think because there's nothing all that scandalous. I mean, I think there might be people that I haven't heard from who might feel, hey, we should have gotten more airtime or this or that or the other thing. But I think, I think because to what Arian was saying is sort of like, documentaries have become our first drafts of history in the way that maybe magazine articles were in the past or newspaper articles were in the past. And so I think, it's there. And in a certain kind of way, it's a little more honest because a lot of times with print pieces, and I say this as, I used to be a reporter with the Wall Street Journal, like you might interview someone for 45 minutes and you can just use a couple of bites from them, not necessarily in exactly the context they would have said them. You can obviously do that in documentaries too, but you need them to have actually said it in the order in which they said it in order for it to be edited correctly. So, that obviously has happened. I mean, you don't want to, surprise people, but if they said what they said,
right.
I do got one more question. When you're kind of, putting the draft or the storyboard together, do you have a story you want to tell and a narrative that you want to depict? And if so, how often does, after you get into it and you start deviating you start interviewing people, how often do you have to deviate from the original narrative you wanted to tell because the story starts telling itself through all of the accumulated interviews?
Great question. First of all, 100% of the time. 100% we have an idea of what we're doing, and 100% it changes. And it might change in order. It might change in points of emphasis. It might change just by virtue of the fact, do you have any footage to support this? It would be great. Like, there might be anecdotes. I'll give an example. Like in I gave you the example of the Landon, peeing. I mean, I don't know that we would have included it just because it's sort of like, hey, we wanted to focus on the biggest games in the U.S.-Mexico rivalry, but sometimes you just don't have footage to support it, and you can't have animation or photos to make it work. But on this, there's also sort of I make a distinction between historical archival-based docs, of which this is one, versus something you're following in real time or in all access format, like an All or Nothing or a Drive to Survive or what have you, where you're really dependent on what you're shooting. And what happens, right? You can have a plan and then, okay, this person gets super angry and that becomes a whole story point that you didn't envision because it happened in real time. So I would say, yeah, we definitely had an outline and it was, we would keep refining it based on, hey, let's lean into what we got that's the best. And let's lean into the stuff that we have the best footage for. And those are kind of the guiding principles. But 100% it changes.
I like it.
So would you consider U.S. or Mexico at this point to be little brother in the relationship? If you put it into American sports fan terminology, like we're top dog right now, or is Mexico top dog?
I don't think we can claim to be top dog just based on the historical record. But certainly we're even. And I think I would argue that, going forward, certainly the United States is trending upward just because the game is still very young here. I mean, the league is 25 years old. Think about it this way. In 1973, the NBA was 25 years old. You would certainly not say like the NBA in 1973 was the be all and end all of what we think of the NBA now. So, the team and soccer in the United States also has a very unusual issue, which is there's major leagues in England, in Germany, in Spain, in France, in Holland, in all these countries, to say nothing, Brazil, Argentina, Mexico. There's no other sport where we're able to see top level competition on American TV. We're not watching EuroLeague basketball and saying, oh man, if only the NBA could be as good as that. So you talk about 100 years of catch up here. So that part, we're still very new, but given the ownership mix in Major League Soccer, these are some of the wealthiest, most savvy sports owners in the world, and you have real youth development. There was for a lot of time, even honestly, when we made the quarterfinals in 2002, it was still kind of random how players ended up on the national team. It was like, oh, they were good here, and maybe a club coach saw them, an Olympic development team. It was totally random, as opposed to having a setup where, okay, when you're 14, you're going to get signed by LAFC, and you're going to play on their junior team, and then you're going to bubble up to the roster, which is the way the rest of the world works.
Yeah.
And so, I would say trending wise, we're certainly trending to being the superior country in the rivalry, but who knows?
I'm just glad we have a rival. We have someone. I'm glad that we have somebody that we have an actual legit bad blood rivalry with. That feels good to have that on the field. And we'll have to talk some other time about what happened after the U.S.-Mexico game in 2002, because I still think that was one of the biggest hose jobs of all time in the quarterfinals against Germany.
Against Germany, we don't talk about Thorsten Frings' handball. Yeah.
We don't talk about that anymore. VAR would have saved us. The robots would have saved us on that one. But thank you for joining us, Jon Weinbach. Go check it out right now on Prime Video Sports. 2 episodes are out now. One's coming out on Wednesday, and it's Good Rivals. Check it out. It's a 3-part docuseries about one of the most unique and intense competitions in international sports, the rivalry between the Mexican and American men's national soccer teams. I can't wait. Can't wait to watch it. So thank you for joining us.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much.
All right, have a good one. Right, that interview is brought to you by Hey Dude. I was actually wearing my Hey Dude shoes just a couple days ago, wearing them around. They are the perfect house shoe. I think Billy said they're perfect, like to slip on to go take out, walk the dog, go
Shoes
do
without
errands around the
commitment.
house. Shoes without commitment. They're perfect shoes for watching games on Sunday or Saturday too. Great couch shoes. The best couch shoes that I own. And Hey Dude Shoes is here to help you out because you know that feeling of coming home after a long day, sinking into your favorite chair on the porch, popping open a beverage, feeling the good vibes instantly wash over you. Well, that's exactly how your feet feel the second you slip on a pair of Hey Dude shoes. Hey Dude makes some of the comfiest, lightest, and coziest shoes out there. They're easy to put on, and they look good with just about anything. Some even have interior faux fur linings that are perfect for winter weather and the holidays. Try a pair for yourself. Your first step inside and your toes are officially on chill mode. It's like letting your feet kick their feet up. Hey Dude is kind of like a home for your feet. Welcome home, toes. Use code BARSTOOL for 15% off at heydude.com. Grab a pair for yourself or as a gift to special guys and gals in your life this holiday season. That's heydude.com. heydude.com. Hey Dude is good to go.
You want some breaking news?
Yes.
Auburn has a new head coach.
Oh, who is it?
Is it Hugh Freeze?
It's Hugh Freeze.
Let's go,
Oh my
Hugh.
God.
Oh, man. It's about time. Thank God somebody gave Hugh Freeze another shot at the big time.
Wait,
I was rooting for Cadillac, man.
Yeah,
He's going to be a really good coach somewhere. I don't know where, but
Cadillac did an awesome job with Auburn. Hugh Freeze is just one of those all-time scumbags that you knew he was going to get back into SEC football at some point.
can I read you a paragraph from an Auburn columnist?
Yeah.
I know good people who have hired prostitutes. I know lots and lots of people, including some prominent coaches and reporters, who have not been faithful husbands. So forgive me if I don't leap to conclusions that mistakes anyone has made. He's missing a word. The mistakes anyone who has made or been accused of, other than acts of violence, add up to being an evil or immoral person.
I know lots of guys that have hired that's a hell of a way to start that paragraph about Hugh. Now, Hugh Freeze, there were like multiple call girls, right? At his last job?
Yeah. And cheating his ass off in recruiting. And there are some other rumors about him also at some previous stops. Seems like here's my thing. If you want to say whatever you want, I don't care. If you want to simp for Hugh Freeze, do it. Is simping for Hugh Freeze worth it? Like he beat Saban twice. Okay. He just finished up a season where Liberty went from 8-1 to 8-4. They got blasted by New Mexico in their last game.
Rip.
Yep. They just got murdered. He's like the offensive game in college football. He's kind of like what Chip Kelly was for a while. Like he had this new Tennessee runs a lot of like Hugh Freeze-ish principles. Like the game, there are more teams doing what he's doing. There's a lot of film on it. If you could get Urban Meyer, throw all morality to the wind. Convince yourself that he is a good person who has just made a couple mistakes. Hugh Freeze, like, isn't an incredible football coach. He's good.
I think he's a pretty good football coach.
He's fine. I think he'll do maybe fine at Auburn. Maybe it blows up, but
I don't think Auburn going to be good till they get rid of Under Armour.
I like that take. Why is that?
Facts. Bro, look, no kid wants to go wear Under Armour. Like,
That's true.
it just is what it is. It's Nike. They won't wear Nike.
When did that
I
happen?
hate it. I hate the monopoly.
Under Armour.
Well, I think it's always been the case. I think Under Armour is gonna be good in like 2 or 3 generations where it doesn't matter to these kids because they see Steph Curry, right? They grew up watching Steph, and to them it's like there's that prestige. But like to a couple generations above them, they're like, no, they just ain't. It ain't it.
Well, Cam
You know what I
Newton also was a big Under Armour guy because he was at Auburn too, and
Yep.
I felt like Under Armour was going to start getting cool for a little bit. They had Jordan Spieth, some like
It's
golfers
just
that were
tough,
cool,
man.
and then
It's just
I feel like
tough.
they fell off again. Like they fell off.
Mhm.
Well, everyone rocked those ankle high. When those first came out, they were pretty
They
popular.
didn't. Yeah, they didn't.
The socks.
Nobody did that.
At the youth level.
Yeah, probably y'all did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's-
we did not. We
Right,
did not.
right. But like everyone in Pop Warner, I didn't have them, but like they thought they were cool as fuck because they were like ankle wrap. And I don't remember anyone past high school wearing them. No one wore them in college, but
That's what I'm saying. Like they'll corner athletes who are like popular, and they'll corner that little niche market. But you ain't gonna break into the sneaker market and the apparel market until you have like a classic shoe. You know what I mean? Like what classic Under Armour shoe is it where you be like, oh, you got the On? You don't have, like, there isn't one, and I don't foresee there being one. Their designs just ain't cut out like that. And Nike constantly puts out classic shoes, and even Reebok has some classic ones. You know what I mean?
You remember when they put out the original, the Chef Currys, the twos, and everyone just like spent 3 days consistently roasting them online because they looked like a pair of nurse shoes.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty
But
bad.
that's what I'm saying. They just not, the designs don't look. I think it's the logo. Honestly, the logo just ain't. I don't know. It's all subjective. I've been pretty sure there's gonna be some guys, because I got people on my bumper about the FIFA take. Are you kidding me, man? That shit rocks. That shit was ass.
I think
Under Armour, they don't make
shit was
Under Armour
ass.
highlights anymore.
But I'm sure there's somebody out there with some Velcro straps on their shoes that'll be like, Under Armour's shoes are amazing. What are you talking about? And I'm like, okay, cool.
I think I told you guys about this, but Under Armour is like super popular with like American flag designs. They make a shitload of America themed merchandise.
Buddy, the owner, I was with Under Armour for like, I think 2-3 years. I signed with them. That dude's like super pro America. He's like super like, he's one of those guys.
How does that work when you sign with a new shoe apparel company? Do they wine and dine you? Do they like heavily recruit you? What do you have to do? Do they just send you like a whole bunch of shit and your day is just like, okay, no matter what I do, I have to be wearing at least one piece of this clothes?
So it depends on who you are. So I mean, I was, pretty high prestige, but nowhere near like in football, it's different because like your marketability is really low because you have a helmet on, right? But there are certain players, quarterbacks, and if you're like if you cause a lot of controversy and you're still balling, they'll definitely offer you like money, right? There's some money being offered like that in football, but not a lot. And so, but I got a good little check. I wasn't mad at it. But yes, they'll do that because like when I think I was coming off of 2 Pro Bowls. I had just got paid, and so I was like, okay, there was like shoe deals. So Nike offered me something. Nike didn't offer any money. Nike offered you just get a whole bunch of shit for free, and then you do ads for them or whatever the case may be. Under Armour, I think it's been a minute. I think it was like $200,000 or something they gave me, something like that. I don't remember. It's been a minute. But then they gave me a whole bunch of shit for free. So it's like, but it is though. So like before you're going, they court you, and so like I got flew on. They have an Under Armour plane. I was on the plane. All that shit.
Yeah, to me that seems like a very easy decision. Would you rather have $200,000 or all the Nike merch that you want to wear?
Oh, it was super easy. Super easy. But plus, I got a bunch of the homies who are Nike athletes. They just gave me their code. I got that shit for free anyway.
I love it. Billy, we got to get you sponsored as an athlete.
You can be sponsored by Bass Pro Shop.
Hell yeah.
Under Armour does have a ton of hunting gear. That's a huge part of their sales. And they also got Tom Brady, and I guess their last sponsored like shoe, name brand shoe was Cam Newton.
Yeah.
So when was the last Nike football shoe?
I don't know.
The Land Shark?
They come out with them all the time. They come out with them all the time. They come out with a new one every single year. But that's the thing, though. They have a monopoly on the game, and they know it. They have a monopoly brand-wise, and they know it. And so it's like, even if there's a company that comes along and does something cool, Nike's going to undercut it because they have the funds. They do that shit all the time. They did it with Under Armour's name is Under Armour, right? So even this dry fit shit I'm wearing, this is Nike. So Nike came out with dry fit after Under Armour seeing all that success of what they were having with the undergear that they were wearing. And so shit. Oh, I watched the great documentary. It's about on And1 basketball.
Yeah,
And1 basketball revolutionized the streetwear scene in basketball, because basketball was like, really, it was just marketed to white folk in suburban America. And then And1 came and said, we're gonna highlight the street aspect of it. Like, we ain't gonna worry about the pros. We're gonna highlight the street aspect of it. Well, all the pros came from the street, right? And so they highlighted and they blew up. I'm talking about $1 million the first year. And then they blew up. And one mixtapes came out. And then all of a sudden Nike said, who are these fuckers making all this noise? Now they got all these street NBA street ball ads, right? And then they start getting, shit. Vince Carter was an And1 athlete, right? He was a Nike athlete, but he wore And1 shoes in the 2000 dunk contest because that's how popping And1 was, right? And1 was popping. But he wore those shoes, and then the very next year, he's in all the Nike street ball ads. You know what I mean? And so it's just capitalism, man. You got too much of a machine behind you. So like, I'll say all that to say Auburn ain't gonna be good till they go to Nike.
I like the take. What are the other best like Under Armour schools out there? What's the best Under Armour school in America?
UCLA, I think they switched to Jordan.
No, they're Adidas. I thought that was Adidas.
They were. Then they went to Under Armour. Now they're Jordan, I think. They've switched a few times in the last few years.
Maryland.
Under Armour, Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. Are they still Under Armour?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought they were Adidas.
They used to be.
They were. Yeah, they used to be.
So it's probably Notre Dame. I think Auburn's the only one in the SEC. Maryland is. Boston College was, and I think they're New Balance now. They're the only New Balance.
BC is New
That's
That's
yeah.
awesome.
No, it's
what?
It's an atrocity.
Who made that call, man?
They're missing out on probably at least 20 students a year that turn them down just because New Balance is going to be on their jerseys.
Okay.
Dylan rocked it.
I'm not gonna lie. My brother goes
Niggas handing out walking shoes. Get the fuck out of here.
I'm not gonna lie. My brother goes to BC, so I have some BC gear. The New Balance clothes kind of hit. I'm not gonna lie.
Stop it.
I kind of like them.
Stop it, Maddie. Stop it.
I kind of like them.
Sweatshop labor.
No.
But
I have New Balances on right now.
But Mad Dog,
Listen, New Balance, don't get me wrong. New Balances make great running shoes.
yes.
But you are stop it. It's not.
Imagine if
it's
you're
not
a
Nike.
17-year-old high school athlete and you're trying to look fresh as hell all the time.
Right.
And you're trying to look like you're fast as shit. You're thinking that nobody can touch you. Would you like to be decked out head to toe in New Balance?
No.
If it makes any difference, it appears the football team is at least still Adidas.
Okay.
Everything else,
good.
I think, is
They
New Balance.
They knew.
including
They was
basketball.
like, we can't even.
Like New Balance is great. It's a great brand if you're just trying to hang out.
they're yeah, I guess you're right. Like the clothes
But
I
not,
have are like
play sports competitively.
yeah, like from the pro shop. Like I like that kind of stuff, and I think New Balance has good quality stuff. I'm wearing my New Balances right now.
It looks
I'll
like
defend them.
Are they paying you, Maddie?
No,
Blink
I don't know
twice.
why I know. I like New Balance. I'm in a New Balance era right now.
so. Yeah, as far as Under Armour schools go, they really did fall off. I felt like just a few years ago, like mid 2000s, late 2000s, it felt like Under Armour was really going to take the next step. Especially you know what it was when Cam Newton won the Heisman Trophy as an Under Armour athlete. I felt like that's when Under Armour was about to blow up. Also, Texas Tech, they're Under Armour, right?
Yes.
I think they are.
I think so.
They got to
That's what
start
I'm saying.
scoring some
All
points
they
again.
just bottom tier. It's just always going to be that way. Nike has done such a good job of branding over the last 4 or 5 decades that the ground you have to make up is just, I don't see it happening, bro.
So I'm looking at the top 25 right now. Georgia, Nike. Michigan, Jordan, which is Nike. TCU, Nike. USC is Nike. Ohio State, Alabama, Tennessee, Penn State. Washington, I believe, is Adidas. So you get to 9. There's your first non-Nike. Clemson, LSU. Utah is Under Armour, I think.
Yeah.
Utah's good.
They're really big Under Armour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there's 1. Kansas State's Nike. Florida State, Oregon State. UCLA is Jordan, which is Nike. I don't know Tulane. And Notre Dame. So Under Armour's a couple schools in the top 25.
Nowhere close though.
Yeah,
Nowhere
I mean
close
it's
to
Nike,
being
Nike.
I bought Under Armour stock a few years ago. It was actually like 2016. It was right after the Steph Curry shoes came out, because I was like, there's no chance that the stock hit that they took just from dropping one pair of shoes is going to last for that long. I think I got in at like $10 a share. It got all the way up to like 18. I was a genius. I was a fucking financial whiz kid. And then I just never sold, and it dropped back down. I think it's at like $8 a share or something like that now.
$9.39. You're about even.
I'm basically even as to what I bought in at. So,
Jeez.
yeah, classic market manipulation. All right, USA, Iran, Iran.
I think Iran.
Okay, tell them, Billy, what's going to happen?
I think that the U.S. are going to get tons of penalties and goals pulled back, and it's going to be like Argentina, Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
Do we know where the refs are from yet?
I don't think we know yet. I will say at least 2 of those goals that Argentina had against Mexico were correct to have been taken away. They were like very, very offsides goals. Now, I will say, not Mexico. I meant Argentina versus Saudi Arabia. I don't think it's actually out of the question that MBS, Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia, actually bribed people to make Saudi Arabia beat Argentina in the World Cup. If you look at the stuff that he's done in the past, this would be child's play. We should do actually an entire episode on MBS. Because
should we do that Wednesday?
We could, yeah. He's done some hilarious fuck shit. We should get Felix on. The guy that came on and talked to us about Havana syndrome.
Sure.
He's a big MBS guy. MBS at one point, amongst other things that he's done, he's had like a foreign head of state come visit him on like official business, and then just locked him in his palace and wouldn't let him leave for like 3 months. And it's been like, you're my hostage now. You're staying here. And finally, the international community was like, come on, dude, let him go. And he's like, fine, I'll let the man go. But he's a 37-year-old crown prince of Saudi Arabia, and he is the exact kind of guy that would definitely pay a referee like $5 billion to throw a match.
I mean, after watching that FIFA documentary, like dropping off a briefcase full of cash has always been like, it's part of, how they run their business.
Yeah.
I am seeing that Spaniard Antonio Mateo Lajos will be refereeing the United States and Iran tomorrow.
Okay.
So where's he from?
Spain.
I think I've seen this guy in the Champions League before. So at least it's not, Qatari or Iranian again.
Well, actually, honestly, I think the Qataris wouldn't let the Iranians get away with any of that, because I don't think they're on the same page politically.
No, they're actually not at all.
Yeah, so actually, now that I think about it, there might not be any bribery.
Okay, so Billy says no bribery now?
Yeah.
Or maybe just a little bit of bribery.
Just a little bit of bribery.
Like
just
moderate bribery, enough to affect the outcome of the game?
Yes.
Okay, so who wins?
Hopefully the U.S., but if they don't, it's bribery.
Okay, I like it.
Yep.
Good prediction. So I'm going to say on behalf of Billy, it's going to be 2-1 U.S. unless it's 1-1 tie, in which case there was a bribe.
1-0, there was a bribe. 1-0 Iran, there was a bribe.
Okay, got it. But 1-1, no bribes?
No bribes, 1-1.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Billy. That's a great preview.
If we go 1-1, we don't advance,
No,
do we?
we have to win.
We have to win, move on. Yep.
Who would win if we went 1-1?
Iran and England.
Iran would advance ahead of us if they tied?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
they've won a game.
they beat Wales.
They beat Wales?
Yeah.
Oh, then if it was a tie, it's bribery.
Okay. All right. So if it's a tie or if they win, then it's a bribe. And if we win, then it was fair.
I do think we're going to win.
That's the most American shit I've ever heard from Billy. That's the classic Andy Bernard. He doesn't lose things.
Yeah, he wins them.
He wins them or he quits them because they are unfair.
I'm trying to recover from this flu just to go watch that game.
Okay.
All right.
I'm going to make it back. I don't think it's COVID. I've taken several tests. So, coming back strong.
Okay, are you still at an undisclosed location, Billy?
No, I'm in a disclosed location.
Okay. All right, so when you say make it back, you mean just make it back in the studio?
Like make it back into work when my fever's down.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Feel better, Billy. Arian, you have a good couple days. Are you down to do MBS on Wednesday?
I have no idea what it is, but I'm sure I could look up some shit.
Mohammed bin Salman. He's by name, he's the ruler of Saudi Arabia right now.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know the acronym was popular like that. Okay.
He's the guy that allegedly had that Washington Post journalist killed and then cut up into tiny pieces in the Turkish embassy.
Yep. No, I'm hip.
Also,
yeah, I'm down.
There's a very funny story about Jeff Bezos and how Jeff Bezos' marriage actually fell apart due to Mohammed bin Salman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get into that on Thursday.
Like personally, Mohammed bin Salman made Jeff Bezos get a divorce.
I'm all for that.
He's a snitch. Might be a little bit of a snitch. All right, we'll see you guys on Wednesday. Go USA. Love you guys.